Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome along to Apex Racing TV. We're here for the season finale of the iRacing Israel League, and what a season finale it is set to be. We're probably at my favourite track of the entire calendar, the Road America circuit, 6.41 kilometers in length, America's Spa, as I often like to call it. I'm Tom Dillon. Alongside me is Ron Bournes. Luis Saraya is in the production booth. Ron, welcome along. This is going to be a very exciting finale to Season 12.
This is fantastic. This is probably the best track we can end the season off. As you said, it's one of the best circuits in all of America. It's one of my favorites. They call it the National Park of Speed, and there's a very good reason for that. It's one of the fastest circuits in the U.S., one of the longest circuits, and nearly 4 miles long, so this track is fantastic. And those very long straightaways, especially the start-finish straightaway, you can see that is a very long, flat-out blast for these Mazdas and Toyotas. It'll put on some fantastic racing as well to cap off this Israel League season.
Absolutely, and well, we're on the trackside shots at the moment. We're just waiting to see if there's anyone out for qualifying. There is indeed, actually. There's a couple of people out on the circuit. Only 2 laps to get the job done, of course, in the Israel League. And, well, we're looking at Reem Gross primarily. There's only a few drivers in the game at the moment, and Reem is the first of them who's really out on the circuit. 2:32.8 is his fastest lap time of the evening so far. This is Mark Zubrev. He's in our MX5s, so we expect the MX5s to perhaps be a little bit more separated from the Toyotas than they have been in other circuits so far this season. We're running a lot of very short circuits, obviously this being a massive, practically a Grand Prix style circuit. It really is quite huge, is Road America. Obviously that means the MX5s have got more time to lose that time. Amir Heshed is going to have a little bit of a spin here off of the circuit. It should actually be his qualifying over, 3.7 seconds off of the pace. Heskey, he jumps up into pole position at this stage, just 1:20 to go in qualifying, and it's Reem Gross who's actually on pole. More importantly, come to think of it, is Alon Day, who is down in third, and it looks like Alon Day is in the pit lane and out of qualifying run.
Yeah, Alon Day, that's a bit of a shock to see him 1.1 seconds off of the pole. We've usually see him just dominating the series, as we're seeing a big snap there from Asika and actually going off the track and doing a bit of lawn mowing coming through turn 3. So unfortunately for him, that's going to wreck his lap, but he'll still grab the pole position in the Mazdas. But yeah, that is very shocking there. That Day is that far off, as we see another driver off. That's Ventura. I'm not sure where that is on the circuit. I believe that is in the first half of the track. I'm not sure exactly where it is, but big incident from him there. You can see the entire front bumper was missing. But yeah, that's now Day has dropped down to 4th. So gotta wonder, he might have had a good qualifying time going for him on lap 2, but this track that we might see a little bit of in qualifying, I believe we have seen it for Day, is track limits are going to be very important at a track like this, which even though it has very little asphalt runoff, some of these drivers are going to try and abuse that track limits, really dancing with the devil with the track limits during their qualifying laps. Oh, Jesus, ignore that voice crack. During their qualifying laps, they're going to be dancing with the devil with the track limits. And unfortunately for him, I believe that caught out Day tonight, and he'll line up 4th.
Hasn't deterred him in the past, though. In fairness, if you joined us for the last round here on Apex Racing TV, Alan Dace got his way through the field and ended up taking a victory, if I'm not mistaken, a couple of weeks ago now. That was Reem Gross is on pole here. Then Daniel Lerman joins him on row 1 with Arnon Levy and Alan Day row 2. Yossi Kabay is the last of this little Toyota pack, with Yeovil Marek taking the pole in the MX5s. Row 4 is Nadav Yaron and Gilad Heshke draw last, and Mark Zubrev rounding out the top 10. Then it's Yehuda Ben Yosef and Amir Hashed. Got a few more cars. A lot of them haven't actually set a lap time in the session, because Ofir Mazuz and Arthur Elbert are the last two to have set a lap time. In fact, take that back, because Elbert hasn't set a lap time himself. Tema Ventura and Aviad Yamarakouv also no setting of lap times. Aviv Cohen and Asav Yaron the same. So 18 cars out there. And by the looks of things as well, Ron, we're going to do a full formation lap on the longest track on the calendar.
Yeah, this is going to be a very long one. Thankfully for me, I don't have anything to do for the rest of the day, so I can sit back, relax here, have a chill-out barbecue while this formation lap takes about 5 years to send these drivers around. So I think before we get this race started, something we should do is look back on the season that we've had here on the iRacing Israel League. We've had a lot of close finishes, really chaotic moments here and there. So I want to ask you, Tom, what was your favorite moment from the iRacing Israel League season so far?
Oh, it's usually me who asks the questions, but I'm happy to answer this one, Ron. I think the identical finish at our very first round down at Road Atlanta, that was fantastic, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, that was insane. Just, you don't really see ties, just the complete tie. I think they had to, I don't know if iRacing has times down to the 10,000th of a second, so I'm sure the those two drivers probably had to decide their position through a round of rock paper scissors after that. But that was a incredible moment. Looking back myself, I think probably my favorite moment of the year was the pass in the grass that we saw at Charlotte earlier this year. Ran on a few Rovals this year, the Road and Oval circuits. We ran at Charlotte. I believe we also ran at Phoenix as well. So a lot of Rovals. It was nice to see that unique style of circuit show up this season. So we had a lot of American tracks. I believe we only had one track in Europe, and that was Monza 2 weeks ago. So looking back on the season, I think the schedule was definitely a bit more American biased, you could say. I mean, I'm certainly not complaining here as the resident American on these Israel League broadcasts, but it was nice to have some Roval style circuits, especially the old version of the Charlotte Roval with the very old and outdated infield with a bunch of dead grass there and the gravel mounds that they disguised as curbs. So that put on a very interesting show tonight. Well, put on a very interesting show many nights ago, but I think tonight this will be a unique race for sure. The Toyotas, as you said, are definitely a lot faster than the Mazdas. They've shown their strength in a straight line. And unfortunately for the Mazda runners, they will probably be... I don't think they'll see too many battles between the Mazdas and the Toyotas tonight, but still a very interesting race that we have in store.
Yes, absolutely. And remember that all the Toyotas who are in and amongst that Mazda pack, the majority of them anyway, was because they haven't set a lap time throughout the course of that qualifying session. So that is offering a reason as to why we aren't all starting as we were. I think keeping an eye here on Alan Day as well. I believe he's wrapped up the championship. Unfortunately, we haven't been given the championship standings ahead of tonight. Otherwise, we would have gone through them. But I believe Alan Day has wrapped it up. Off the top of my head, he should have done. If not, then tonight is going to be the night that he has to get it done and get it done with a win I would assume is how he would want to run it. And starting in 4th, he's got a fantastic opportunity of doing exactly that in that #1 car, and has been doing some real-life racing as well, I believe, over the course of the last 2 weeks, if I read it correctly. Our little notes before this this one. So Alan back on the sim, and a few of the guys obviously back on the sim. I know we've got a lot of real-life drivers here. Also interesting to see, Ron, that they're running 2 wide throughout the entirety of the formation lap. I don't normally see that.
Yeah, it's well, I'll tell you, of all the tracks that we've run at, there's probably the only one where they could run 2x2 on a formation lap the whole time, because we've run on some pretty narrow tracks all throughout this season. But even though it is going to be a little bit hair-raising if drivers try and go side by side coming through the last corner we saw, coming through the kink, that'll be very sketchy if the drivers try and go side by side through there. They're able to do that pretty easily at about a quarter speed, as they'll actually be doing on the actual racing laps. But still, it's very nice to see those drivers line up in formation. It's a good way to end this season, running at a fantastic track, which is, of course, what Road America is. As I said, it's the National Park of Speed. It's American pride and joy of a racing circuit. So I think tonight here for the season finale of the iRacing Israel League, I think we're going to have a fantastic show, and I think we're going to have a lot of overtakes down the straightaways.
It looks like we've already gone. By the looks of things, as our pole sitter Reem Gross has accelerated on into the distance very early indeed. The green flag is going to fly. I'd call that a jump start under normal racing rules, but in iRacing, all is fair in that case. Daniel Lerman is behind him. Safety car already long into the pit lane. What can Alon Day do, trying to make up position up into 3rd as they make the very long run down into turn 1. Alon Day on that outside line, getting that slipstream, should squeeze ahead of Arnon Levy here when they apply the brakes for turn 1. He won't, and in fact Arnon Levy is going to get ahead of Daniel Lerman by the looks of things. Lerman is all the way onto the outside and onto that curb. In the end, is able to get ahead on that outside line. Heschke lost a position to last, then got that position back. Ben Josef up a spot, up into 4th position in the MX5. Arthur Elbert, he's not been able to make up many spots at all. Here is Alon Day trying to attack Arnon Levy. Obviously, it's a very long straight here down into the next braking zone. Day on the outside line will fancy his chances, though. As, well, these cars actually are rather slow, so it's very long time before they have to apply those brakes. Here they go. Alon Day on the outside line. Is there going to be a fight back from Levy? Day is going to make the pass on the grass, and that is him up a spot. Some would call that an illegal overtake. I think he'll get away with that, though, in the iRacing sim.
Well, thankfully here in the iRacing Israel League, really track limits don't really matter as much as they do in Formula 1, so we'll let Day get away with that position as he pulled off a fantastic move going around the outside of turn 5. So that's the battle that we saw in the Toyotas. Right now we saw a little bit of battling at the start, just looking at our timing screens at the front of the Mazda pack. But right now I believe things have settled down all throughout the field as they go through the very tight and twisty section once they get on the brakes going into turn 5, which is really turn 3 if American tracks really knew how to number the corners properly. Going on the brakes from there and really extending all the way up until they're exiting the carousel, there's really not a whole lot of chances to get past another driver, so they spread out a little bit, but as they go onto the straightaways, these drivers condense together with the very strong slipstream effect, as we saw. Hasika nearly went into the dirt there. Hasika nearly went into the grass trying to get past the driver ahead of Drew last, so Hasika is in the final podium position for now. Right now he's having another challenge from Zubarev behind this. Some very close stuff here up towards the front of the Mazda pack.
Well, Heschke is holding on to 3rd at the moment. Got a battle for 8th position. Aviv Cohen just behind Yaron, and will try and get himself the better exit out of that corner. He won't, and well, he's going to have to wait until turn 1 once again. That's a little bit of better straight line speed from Yaron, though, and might just quell Aviv Cohen's opportunity to make any moves down into turn 1 this time by. As we head into lap 2, Yaron gets past Gabay. That's for one of the 5th position in the Toyotas. Gabe actually is going to get that back off Yaron. This is the battle between Heshke, and this is the battle between Gabe and Yaron. Heshke is passed, by the way, Zubro. That was what we cut away from just a moment ago. This battle's going to continue, though. We'll see what Yaron can do. Gabe is going to go very, very defensive, very, very early down this straight. If you're driving an LMP2 car around here, you don't quite realise how long this straight is and how much of an overtaking opportunity it is as well. We'll see on that outside line goes Gabe. Oh, Gabe back down the inside, I apologise. It was Yaron on the outside line and he stacked it.
Simple spin there. Simple spin from Yaron, who gets on the throttle a bit too early coming out of turn 5. Unfortunately for him, he's going to be stopped for a while. As there is Cohen going off as well. I believe that's Cohen. Yes, actually, no, that's SF Yaron, I believe, yeah. Actually, no, that's Arthur Albert. I'm getting all my names confused here. So, Arthur Albert there goes for a nice little trip through the gravel trap through turn 5. Not sure what happened there. Might have had some contact, might have had some help. Unfortunately for him, he is going to go off. We're going to get a replay to see what happened. Might have just outbroke himself here. Yeah, that's just going in. Tokyo Drift through the gravel there for Arthur Albert. Unfortunately for him, well, I say unfortunate, it was a mistake, but he actually, thanks to the misfortune there from SF Yaron, he actually moves up a spot in the Toyota field.
Well, Yaron is trying to make up some moves then. He's going to first have a look at Arthur Albert and also have a look at this MX5 that's getting in their way. They might run it 3 wide here. Is this down into the kink? That's not an ideal place to be making a move. That's going to be very awkward indeed. The MX5, as we see puff of smoke in the foreground. That is a car off on driver's left. Yaron is going to thread the needle and get his way through. There's a car off big time. 2 cars off, 3 cars off. And they're going to have to come up on them quickly. Oh my goodness me, it ends in tears. They spin around and there's an MX5 involved as well. It's a dramatic, dramatic accident. And, well, you saw it coming.
Oh my god, I don't know who that was in the pink Mazda, but they threaded the needle through there. There had to have been, I wouldn't even call it inches, it had to have been millimeters to getting involved in that accident. That was utter carnage there as it went into Canada corner, but I gotta give props to whoever that was in the pink Mazda that just cut through there. That was unbelievable.
We've lost half our field.
Yeah, basically half the field's gone. Most of the Mazda, I mean, that's, how many Mazdas were involved in that? 4 Mazdas and a Toyota. Actually, no, that,
2 Toyotas.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Actually, yeah, but 2 Toyotas were involved in that. Just a total field clearing accident here. Looked like a NASCAR super speedway race. I believe this was the first accident that started. We saw an accident farther up ahead. That's a Heshika there, Heshkia, sorry, and going off there and then clipping 2 other Mazdas, getting clipped by 2 other Mazdas there. So those drivers unfortunate to get involved. And meanwhile, we're gonna see that 3-pack of the 2 Toyotas and the Mazdas buzz by, and oh boy, oh, you gotta feel bad for the 2 Toyotas that were involved in that, but the Mazda just threading the needle there. I can't get past that. That is unreal.
Well, I hate to be that person, as we've got a few of our cars rejoining the race now, but you know, it's pretty simple. You see yellow flags, you stop running 3 wide. How I see it, and well, obviously it's not how they saw it. We've got a car spinning around. That's down into this corner here. Oh, dear me, getting a bit of a Tokyo drift on out on drivers right there. That is Tomo Ventura, and he falls down into 6th in the MX5. The good thing is that the cars behind him are quite a ways behind now after various incidents that have happened throughout the course of this race, but we've got a battle for the lead. This is Daniel Lerman looking for the lead of the race. He looks to dive down the inside of Reem Gross. He does dive down the inside and gets himself up a spot, but is onto the gravel. We'll see what Alon Day can do as he's like stalking this battle. Down the inside goes Lerman. Gross on the outside gets the better run of it and into the final corner on this racetrack, turn 14. Day dives up the inside. We'll look for the lead of the race as well, but he won't get the lead of the race. He'll only be able to get himself up into 2nd, and now I would assume we'll work with Daniel Lerman to try and get back up and caught with Reem Gross. Lerman will be slightly frustrated because he had the lead of the race and now he's all the way back down to 3rd. In fact, they won't work together because Reem Gross is well in a way, and Daniel Lerman is trying to attack Alon Day. Down the inside he goes. There'll be a battle of the late breakers. Slightly better effects on the straight line speed for Daniel Lerman. They're side by side as they go down into turn 1. Day on the outside line, they're banging wheels. It's very, very close between them, and they're still inseparable.
That is some very close battling between those two drivers. Yeah, I'm surprised Lerman just decided not to work with Day and just give him a little bit of a bump drift. We've seen it in the past how these Toyotas can bump drift, but I'm shocked those two are not working with each other. And now it has dragged Arnon Levy back into this battle. So we've now have a 3-car battle on our hands as Lerman tries to pull out again on Day, trying to get the move done around the outside of turn 5. It's very similar to what we saw earlier in the race, and it looks like Lerman was very close to getting that move done, but Day closes a door there, but they're still going very close. And now we've got Levy trying to go around the outside. Lerman going into 6th. He has to back out of that move because that's just way too close. But it looked like he was nearly going to do the old switcheroo there on Lerman as they went into turn 6. But right now, that battling there with Day and Lerman has allowed Gross to pull away and has allowed Levy to get involved in this pack as well.
Yuda Ben-Yosef is trying to get up the inside of Mark Zubrev, not able to do so yet on that number 30 car. We'll go to the outside this time as we just approach half distance in this race. 20 minutes heat race here, lap 4 of the race only. Daniel Lerman has fallen behind Alan Day a little bit after their battling. Ben-Yosef gets past Zubrev as well, just as we cut away from that shot. The important thing here, though, is that Reem Gross has got himself a 1-point-something second lead. It's coming down slightly. However, I think that might be pretty important as we go on through this race, Ron.
Yeah, that's going to be very important. These battles have definitely eaten away at a lot of gaps all throughout this race and all throughout the season for that matter. And at a track like this where the slipstream is going to be extremely powerful, building up a big gap is going to be important. But with all these drivers battling and all the mistakes that we've seen so far, that is not going to happen as we see some more battling for the final podium position for the Mazdas between Ben-Yosef and Zubrev there. Those drivers are very close to each other. I believe they might go side by side again going into the final corner. Zubrev, it looked like he was going to dive down the inside of Ben-Yosef going into the final turn, but I don't think moves into the final turn are really the smartest decision, because as we saw from Alan Day last lap when he went for the move on Lerman got back at him, so I don't think that's the smartest move. As speaking of those two drivers, they're continuing to battle here as we approach the halfway mark of this first heat.
Alan Day is trying to get a better exit as he's back, been passed by Daniel Lerman. Let's see if that exit comes to him. Stalking them as well is Arnon Levy just behind. So we'll see how this starts to stack up as we get into the second half of this Heat 1 here from the iRacing Israel League finale, season 12. And Alan Day on the brakes is not going to be able to attack Daniel Lerman particularly well. Almost loses the car there on the exit. That might allow Arnon Levy to have a little bit of a look. We'll see how that stacks up. We'll also see how this stacks up. And Mark Zubrev trying to make some progress back ahead of Ben-Yosef, but Ben-Yosef holding on to it for the time being. He's got draw last in his sights. Draw last in that number 55 car is holding on to that second spot. Marek has checked out. He's 6.9 seconds down the road or something stupid like that. Here he is. And actually, he's starting to attack one of our Toyotas. So he's checked out. He's probably going to win this MX5 classification tonight. We're now keeping an eye on this battle for second because Ben-Yosef gets a bit of a better exit as they all Constantine are up into the braking zone. The problem is that even though Road America is a very wide track, Ron, there aren't actually that many places to overtake.
Yeah, that's a big trade-off at a circuit like this because, as you said, even though it is wide, there's not a lot of places to go past because just because you have a wide, I mean, you could have a circuit that's like 10,000 lanes wide, but if you have a track that's also very tight in some sections and very hair-raising, like here, for instance, going through the kink on Road America, it's a very wide section, but you gotta have balls of steel to try and go for a move there. So I think the real big opportunity for a lot of these drivers to try and get past is going to be Canada corners. We're seeing Zubrev thread the needle between Ben-Yosef and last there going into Canada corner. That was some fantastic stuff there from Zubrev. It looked like he was going to try and get 2 corners two drivers in the span of one corner there. That's some fantastic stuff, but Zubrev is extremely racy, still trying to battle with last there as they go into the final corner. And I believe Ben Yosef behind is just going to sit back, relax, have a chill out barbecue, and then he's going to watch these two drivers try and battle it out as they go into turn one, and he might just pick off the positions if there's a crash.
Here goes Ben Yosef down the inside. It's going to box in Zubrev as well, who wants to desperately make that move on draw last. Ben Yosef's going to get a fantastic run. They'll run 3 wide as they go down into turn one. Not quite 3 wide, actually, because it looks like Zubrev is going to try and pull inside. Ben Yosef gets the double pass and he gets on through, and actually draw last is going to lose 2 spots here because Mark Zubrev gets past him as well. So a fine bit of driving from Yehuda Ben Yosef. And also a bit of opportunism from Mark Zubrev as well, who might look to make it one better here in an attempt to get up into second place as they go down this massive straight. What would be a DRS zone. Don't have DRS on these Mazdas, don't even have a rear wing on these Mazdas or much downforce at all. But it's not going to stop for Zubrev getting to the inside as he tries to get past Ben Yosef or get later on the brakes, you would think. Has he overcooked? It looks like he's overcooked this, you know.
Whoa. Oh, he managed to keep it on the road.
Just about kept it on the road. Not going to stop Yehuda Ben Yosef getting back up the inside and reasonably easily should make this pass, and does exactly that.
I'm shocked, just absolutely dumbfounded that Zubrev managed to keep it on the road, because it looked like he was going to miss that corner by about 1,000. It looked like he was going to end up in Minnesota, how deep he went to that corner. But thankfully, for Zubrev's chances at this second place position in the Mazdas, he didn't overshoot, because even though we've seen a lot of mistakes at this stage of the race right now, you can see from the timer right now, we are 14.5 minutes into this 20-minute race, which these drivers clocking 2.5-minute lap times. We don't even think we'll see lap 10. So I think we're probably about, what do you think, 3 laps away from the end, probably. So making a mistake at this stage of the race is going to cost these drivers dearly. But it looks like maybe Gross made some kind of mistake, because that gap that he had, that was nearly about 1.5 seconds a few laps ago between Gross and Lerman, has now closed up, and now it's going to be an absolute dogfight between Gross, Lerman, Day, and whoa, that was a big moment. There's another big moment there from Levy in the back. Those two drivers making big mistakes there, and it's going to cost Lerman dearly there as he loses a position today.
2 laps to go in this one. I make it. It will be actually exactly 2 laps indeed. So just a little bit over the 20 minutes we'll get in the end. Not going to get to the 25 laps. That is the maximum that we're able to run in these races. We're not even going to get anywhere near that. Mark Zubrev, by the way, has got past Yehuda Ben Yosef. That's for 7th overall, 2nd place in class, and it looks like actually that Ben Yosef has got back past Zubrev, now gets back past. So those lot are battling very quickly indeed as we go under the cheese sign here at Road America to see Alan Day trying to defend from Daniel Lerman. These two embroiled in a lot of battles throughout the course of this season, and Lerman is going to go to the outside line this time, switches to the inside. It's a very aggressive move, and it's a massive statement from Daniel Lerman, who goes down the inside of Alan Day, forces him out wide. Day keeps his foot in and will keep the position as well. A fine piece of driving from Alan Day.
That's typical Alan Day. What we've seen a lot of him so far this season is that he just has a lot of confidence in the Toyota that he drives to get really deep into the braking zones. He's probably the last of the late breakers, regardless of who he's battling. So Day has always had that kind of just keeping around in his pocket. He doesn't use it all the time, but whenever he's trying to defend or whenever he's trying to hold off a position, Day always has that ability to just go really deep on the braking zones. That cost him, well, it doesn't cost him anything. It helps him quite a lot. So I believe it might help him again, but he'll need an absolute miracle in the final lap and a half, really lap and a third of this race, if he wants to get the win here in the Toyotas in Heat 1.
Alan Day is really on the back foot here because Lerman's going to go back to the outside line as we go up into Canada corner, turn 12. Lerman on the outside line should have the speed on that outside to get through. He makes contact with Alan Day, and Alan Day just gets to the apex of the corner first and cuts off Daniel Lerman's chances at 2nd place. We're about to start the final lap of this race run. It's still all to play for. Reem Gross isn't out of the woods yet himself.
Yeah, this is, I mean, we've just seen some fantastic battling all throughout this season, and right now we're seeing it put on full display as Lerman nearly goes into the grass. I believe he did drop a wheel or two going into the dirt on the outside of the final corner, but he's still going to have a fantastic run here on Allen Day. Looks to the outside, going down that start-finish straightaway. They're going to start the final lap here, if I'm not mistaken. And it's going to be extremely close here. It's going to be the last of the late breakers. Lerman is a little bit of ahead, but Day is very hard on the brakes. He's going to hold off that inside, but I believe Lerman is just going to have that run coming around the outside of Day to pull off that move for P2.
They will not be done quite yet. They've got another overtaking opportunity to come as Alon Day. I think these two will be battling right to the line, as will Ben Yosef and Zubrev. They're still battling along, and they're side by side here. It might be 3 wide. Yehuda Ben Yosef on the inside line. Oh, dearie me, that's just silly. That is really, really quite silly. Didn't see Mark Zubrev, didn't realise that he was clear. And that's not a moment, I'm afraid to say, that Yehuda Ben Yosef is going to want to watch back on the replay. That just felt completely and utterly avoidable, Ron.
Yeah, that was just... I mean, we're going to get a replay to see this accident yet again, this time from the aerial view. Ben Yosef going in the brakes, moves over like Zubrev isn't even there. I got to wonder, did he... It's like he passed out behind the wheel or something like that. That was just completely uncalled for. That was a really... You could call it just a... I'll call it how it is. That was a dumb move there from Ben Yosef. And unfortunately for him, it not only ruins his chances at a good result tonight, it also ruins Zubrev's chances because I'm sure he has some kind of damage on that MX5. And he, of course, had a massive moment. Yeah, he definitely has damage. Clipped the grass there after Ben Yosef came across him. And yeah, just lucky. That is a fantastic save there from Zubrev. They managed to keep that thing in a straight line, but that accident shouldn't have happened. That was completely stupid.
No, the problem's twofold, isn't it? As we'll get to this battle in a moment, because Reem Gross is well and truly not out of the woods yet as we go to the back end of this circuit. But not only is he moved across in the braking zone, he's moved across whilst he's braking, so it really is an avoidable moment. That is a mistake for Reem Gross. This is for the win of the race. He's got away with it for the time being, but Daniel Lerman is going to race this right to the line, and we'll see if Alon Day can get himself involved as well. Through the final corner of turn 14 they go in this first race at Road America, and both of them make a mistake. Lerman gets the worst of it. We'll see if he's able to draw alongside as they come up to the line. The checkered flag is flying here in Road America, and it looks like Reem Gross is going to get to the line and take the checkered flag to be first. Daniel Lerman will be kicking himself because that was, well, unfortunate what happened on the final lap, on the final corner of the final lap. And it is going to give Reem Gross the win.
That was very close there. Unfortunately for Lerman, he just went a little bit farther in the grass, and Reem Gross, unfortunately for him, it's going to cost him dearly. As when I say cost him dearly, he still finished second and was still only about less than 0.3 of a second away from the win, so you can't call that a bad performance at all from Lerman. He gave it everything he could, and if he had probably like an extra 500 or 1,000 feet, he probably would have been able to get that win. So that was some very tense stuff there. Both of those drivers gave it everything they had. And if Gross made that, if he went a little bit deeper on the grass there as they went through Canada Corner and made that mistake a little bit worse, that could have been Lerman taking the checkered flag instead of Gross.
Another battle going on here. Nadav Yaron will feel like he's got the better of Heshed. It's an inter-class battle, so it's not for the similar points or anything. It's just for a little bit of pride. And I think the 959 MX5 is going to indeed finish behind. So there we go. These are the last few cars to cross the line. There are some just a little bit of a ways behind. It's Yaron, Cohen, and Elbert, the next to come across the line. Overall, though, assuming nothing miraculous happens here, that was a very entertaining race, if indeed it had some unsavory moments, Ron.
It definitely had some unsavory moments, definitely had a lot of drivers making mistakes. Speaking of mistakes, we see SF Yaron there going very deep, going into the final corner, so he's going to end up P7 in the Mazdas, but had a very close call. Certainly one man that had a very close call was Hasid, who just threaded the needle there in that very early accident in this first heat, and he's gonna wind up in P6. That was, I still can't get over that. You know, we were talking before the race started about our favorite moments. I gotta give Hasid an honorable mention because that was That was absurd that he was just that close to getting involved in that incident and didn't. That was unreal.
And here we go. Arthur Albert is going to be the last driver to cross the line. And what on earth has happened to that Toyota? He is, well, he's driving half a car and 4 wheels not working, 3 wheels on his wagon. And this wasn't the cause of the incident, but this is when the incident gets worse. I mean, really, really, that is an unusual accident. It's almost like his wheel has clipped into the floor. And well, I haven't seen much of that before. And here he goes again. I mean, I'm not going to start laughing. That'd be totally unprofessional of me. However, I think this might give us a little bit of reason as to, oh, I've seen that before, you know. That sort of accident. And he's had to do an entire lap like that. That's unsavoury and not ideal from Arthur Albert, capping off a very frustrating and difficult race 1. And, well, he's going to drive crawl across the line to at least take the checker flag. So fair play to him for limping that home. However, that wheel is literally not turning.
I think Arthur Albert might have to sell that virtual Toyota GR86 on eBay, sell it as slightly used.
Slightly used, I think, is the word there. Well, we're going to go straight into our race 2, shall we? Take a breather. Thankfully, it's a very long formation lap, so we have plenty of time to breathe. 20 more minutes are ahead of us in the iRacing Israel League. We have got our results up on the screen. The grid, sorry, I apologise. Mark Zubarev and Draw Last are on pole position. Yossi Gabay and Yovel Marek on row 2. It's on Levy and Alon Day. Daniel Lerman and Reem Gross are on row 4 with Ofer Mazuz and Yehuda Ben Yosef on row 5. Then it's Nadav Yaran and Amir Heshed.
And we get a chance to look through the rest of the field here. We've got, starting in 13th, we have SF Yaron, then we have Aviv Cohen, then following them is Arthur Elbert, who we saw with that hoop-de-rod of a Toyota towards the end of that race. He's in 15th, and we have Tomer Ventura in 16th, Gilad Heskia in 17th, and then Yarmakov in P18, the last of the finishers. You can see 3 minutes and 33 seconds. He was involved in that accident very early on in Heat 1, so he's going to be the last of the starters here in Heat 2.
I'm just taking a look at the points. Actually, Reem Gross and Alan Day are 4 points separated from each other. That was going into this round. Although I have to say, I'm struggling slightly to. Oh, there's a drop round. This is why that's happening. So slightly confusing between the two of them. So I believe this is effectively a straight shootout for the win of the championship. Ron.
That'll create a lot of chaos in this Heat 2. You know, there's a lot to race for just for bragging rights here to win the final Heat race of the final round of the iRacing Israel League season. But I think now that there's a very strong championship fight going on between Gross and Day, I think we'll see a lot of elbows at. Day has always had a pretty bad Heat 2, so I think, me personally, even though Reem Gross hasn't been the lights out star that Day has been all throughout this season, I think Reem Gross might have the upper hand because we've seen Day get hit by falling anvils quite a few times throughout this season. So we'll just have to wait and see how these final 20-ish minutes of this iRacing Israel League season go.
Yes, well, you can say that again. That's for certain. This hasn't included, by the way, obviously the standings haven't included the previous race. So I'm just trying to find out what actually the our point scoring system here is. It looks like it's 14 for the win, and then we go down past there. So I'm going to be honest with you, I haven't got a clue how this is going to stack up, Ron. All I know is we're going to get a very interesting little finale here.
Yeah, I think it will be a very interesting race. If it's anything like Heat 1, I think we're going to be in for a very fantastic race. That was chaotic from start to finish. Had some great battling all throughout the field, and definitely had some great and almighty accidents that we saw as well. So we'll have to see how things go here in Heat number 2 tonight. We might have some drivers kind of losing their minds a little bit. And we might have some drivers making a few incidents, might be seeing some drivers lose bits of their car. So I think we'll have a very interesting Heat 1, and as I said, if it's anything, well, I say we'll have a very interesting Heat 2. I'm getting all my numbers confused. You can tell I'm dyslexic. So I think if we have anything like we had in Heat 1, I think Heat 2 is going to be fantastic to watch. So anyone watching at home, sit back, relax, grab some popcorn. It's going to be a show here.
Yes, so here we go. This is going to be very interesting indeed. The way I'm going to run this is that if Reem Gross finishes ahead of Alade, I will call him as the champion. Otherwise, we're going to leave it to the brains at the iRacing Israel League to decide for sure. But if you're Reem Gross, at the very least, you know what you have to do. So, let's take a breather and let's get ready for 20 more minutes of racing in Season 12 of the iRacing Israel League. It's Mark Zubrev in the number 30 car, who is on pole position. Draw last alongside him in the first of our Toyotas. In Yossi Gabay is behind. Safety car will be into the pit lane momentarily, and it will be in Mark Zubrev's hands to get this race underway. And it has to be said, he's behaved himself a little bit more nicely than before, with green flag running. Safety car into the pit lane. And Zubrev gets a good start. He's got the jump of the field. Alade is trying to get himself up a couple of spots early on here. He's in a bit of a difficult space, though, boxed in by a couple of MX5s. Mark Zubrev gets the fantastic start, then draw last is alongside him, trying to get himself alongside is Yossi Gabay. On that inside line, we've got two-lane running here. Alade still boxed in because he's got a car on his inside in Arnon Levy. Day is almost collecting an MX5 just ahead of him, gets the better speed around the outside line to get ahead of Arnon Levy. Reem Gross, importantly, his championship rival, down in 5th position for the time being as he dives down the inside as Alade of one of the MX5s. That is a fantastic little move, and now it's just one position for the lead of the race ahead of him.
That was an awesome send. That's not really a corner you see too many dives on going into turn 3, but Alade, he wants to press the issue at this stage of the race. He not only wants to finish ahead of his title rival of Gross, but he also wants to take the checkered flag because you want to have those bragging rights. Whoa, that's some chaos behind. That's a Mazda going into another Toyota. That's some bunch of cars spinning around. So unfortunately, some drivers already getting mixed up in this early stage of the race. Some incidents farther behind, but everyone kept it clean there. That was surprising. Besides that small little incident that we just saw with the, I believe that was, yeah, his seed, the Mazda that we're following, but farther up ahead, that was some carnage ahead, and the seed just goes into the gravel a little bit there, and yeah, that was Aviv Cohen involved in that. That was just a bunch of drivers nearly getting involved in that crash, so thankfully for them, they all kept their cars fairly clean, so right now, much cleaner start than we had in Heat 1.
Reem Gross is in a difficult spot here because he's behind an MX5 and he's watching Alade get away from him. Here's Daniel Lerman on the outside line of Yossi Gabay, who has lost out that lead. Lerman is going to go all the way into the grass. Will he hold on to the car? This is a nervy moment. There's a lot of cars in the way, and that car control is world class from Daniel Lerman. It's not going to help him, though, because Reem Gross, who's got past a Toyota, is now going to got past an MX5, is now going to get past the Toyota of Daniel Lerman. Is he still on the outside line as draw last? It's losing out on a spot to the number 25 car. Daniel Lerman holds onto the spot ahead of Reem Gross. Only just will Gross be able to get himself through as they go down into turn 14. He's going to have to wait until turn 1, I would assume. Daniel Lerman, he's not going to be particularly happy with that one from himself, but I suppose he'll be happy with the save.
Yeah, that was... You don't want to make a mistake going through the kink, because usually if you go through there and get into the grass, it's usually going to end in disaster. So thankfully for Lerman and his chances tonight, he managed to keep it straight there. You could see his character in iRacing just clawing at the wheel, going side by side, well, going side to side, back and forth, sawing at the wheel to try and keep it straight. So unfortunately for him, he had that mistake. Unfortunately for him, he's going to lose third position in the Toyotas to Reem Gross, who is now trying to make it up. And I'm sure he is trying to eye what Alade is doing. He might try and just have a look-see to see what happens here. Gross is going to look very closely to see this battle between Alade and Mark Zubrev for not only the overall win for the final race of the season, but it's also the two front runners in the two classes right now.
Side by side, Alon Day trying to get himself up a spot, up into second position overall. In fact, up into the overall lead because he's got past Mark Zubrev, who backing out of it rather quickly, I would think, not wanting to get involved in that battle. That puts the pressure on the air. Oh, dearie me, ignore that for a moment because we have got another spinner. I didn't quite see who it was there. I think it's Amir Shed. No, it's not Amir Shed. Sorry, it's Yaron, who's fallen down back to practically last. Here's what happened then as they go down into turn 5. Just, I think, oh dear, outbroke himself and then got hit by a Toyota.
I don't think he really outbroke himself. I think he just went for a really overly opportunistic move there, and unfortunately for him, he cost him quite badly as he now drops down the running order. Right now, he is running second to last overall. The only driver ahead of him is Mazuz, who had a mistake early on. Another mistake there. That's Heskia there, who has a spin there and a wall tap going into the carousel. So a lot of drivers making mistakes very early on in this race. Already have carnage here, and we're not even 5 minutes into this race. We're going to get a replay to see what happened here, but I think very simple mistake there from Hasika. Oh! Not a mistake there. That was not a mistake. That was caught up there, just innocent bystander.
Yeah, well, more unsavory things happening at this stage in the race, and Heshka is perhaps the innocent party and all of that that's had the most effect on him. And MX5 trying to make a move, and that's on Daniel Lerman. It's actually Marek who's on the outside line. By word, there's two MX5s making moves on Toyota. Daniel Lerman doesn't really know what's hit him. He's got Reem Gross just behind him. Alon Day is in the lead of this race then. Look at him all the way out there in the distance, and it is really, really quite interesting this, because on the inside is Jossi Gabay. Daniel Lerman trying to get past the MX5 now, just that little bit more cornering speed. The MX5 moves to cut him off. Interclass battling going on here. Jossi Gabay will try and get himself through, but the right-hander comes rather too early for him. And now on the exit of the corner, gets the better exit and will try and find his way through as well. It's going to be followed by Marek, who's now trying to pressure Jossi Gabay, who doesn't want to get involved in this at all, and he's going to cut him off. That's aggressive. You're not allowed to do that. That is far too aggressive, and now Daniel Lerman will try and thread the needle. He goes to the inside line. Jossi Gabay is going to give him the space. It's going to be a dive bomb on the MX5 as well, and now Reem Gross following him through. Oh my goodness me. This is quite interesting stuff.
That was probably about 18 close calls in the span of about 15 seconds. That was unbelievable. Just the horn-to-throat action that we see in this iRacing Israel League just got put on full display. We saw some, definitely some questionable blocks there, and a lot of drivers going for the send, so you gotta respect them giving everything it has very early on in this race. It's something I've pointed out multiple times throughout this season. You have drivers that are battling all throughout the field, regardless of whether you're running outside the top 10 overall or whether you're running for the last podium position overall. These drivers are going to give it everything they have, and we're seeing Daniel Lerman give it everything he has. He's going to go, no way. Is he going to try and go around the outside, going through the kink? Oh, he actually pulled that off. How in the world did he pull that off?
Well, I'll just let the pictures speak for themselves a moment, because this is quite unbelievable stuff out here at the moment. Jossi Gabay is just ahead. Reem Gross is now up into third. Will try and get himself into second ahead of Daniel Lerman. He's still all the way around the outside into turn 14. He's going to get the job done here, and he will, and puts himself into what I believe is position for the championship trophy, but we'll wait and see as these two are still side by side. Daniel Lerman and Reem Gross. Lerman getting the better of him at the moment, only by 600ths of a second. It's improving though, and he might just have enough space to finally cut back across. Getting involved is Mark Zubrev in the MX5, who now is going to try and make this one 3 wide. Daniel Lerman just about getting ahead of the second place runner of Reem Gross. Lerman on the brakes, gets himself ahead. And I don't know the championship scenario here. I believe Reem Gross is still in position to get the victory. However, we'll wait and see.
I'm I'm at a loss for words, to be brutally honest. Usually, as a commentator, it's my job to basically to put what I'm seeing and turn it into words. But for the first time this season, I am genuinely speechless. I have nothing to say. We're seeing battling all throughout the field, and we might see some more battling here. This is actually for the, I believe, for the win in the Mazda category. You can see Zubrev and Merrick are very close there. And now you can see Yossi Gabay there. Actually, is that Yossi Gabay? I believe that is. Yes, Yossi Gabay there going for the send, going into turn 5, and he gets ahead of Merrick. So this is a nice little, he's kind of acting like a bit of a wedge here in this Mazda fight, but very close here. And I'm sure Merrick is going to be a bit more impatient trying to get past Gabay here.
As Gabay is really stuck in between a rock and a hard place, as he needs to get past Mark Zubrev, but Mark Zubrev isn't going to give him any chance to get past because he knows that he's got an MX5 runner just behind him. Marek, by the way, by my mathematics, is already the MX5 champion. That was decided heading into this round. Let's see what Yossi Gabay can do out of this corner, as he's going to try and get back to the inside line and try and get through as he goes into the kink. This is a very silly move if he's going to make it. I think he's going to go for it. And it's so close to ending in absolute utter disaster. However, Yossi Gabay gets away with it. Reem Gross gets past Daniel Lerman as well as they go down into Canada corner. Yossi Gabay is under pressure here from the MX5 on his outside line. And in the end, is able to stay in 4th in class, 5th overall. There is Reem Gross clear of Daniel Lerman. We've just ticked over half distance, and Ron, talk us through this.
Okay, yeah, this was just some very close stuff here. Reem Gross, who is probably trying to be very aggressive at this stage of the race, going for the move there. He's going to try and go around the outside, going into Canada corner. There's a corner that you usually see a lot of overtakes on in real life, and Reem Gross manages to go for the move there, and it sticks, going around the outside of Canada corner, even though that's one of the easier overtaking opportunities on the circuit. That is a fantastic move, and that's a fantastic view there. You can see the orange sky there. That is a great shot for the final 10 minutes of this season.
As Nadav Yaron is trying to get past Yehuda Ben Yosef. Look to the inside line, and it won't quite formulate for him, I don't think. He's just slightly awkward in that case, and well, has to stay behind for the time being. This is for one of the minor positions overall. I think just racing for pride at this stage of the last race of the season, and in fact the 34 is going to get himself through as well. This could be an interesting battle as Daniel Lerman gets back past Reem Gross. Reem Gross loses a couple attempts for a second as well. It'll be interesting to see a replay of that move. 34 on the inside line. It's Aviv Cohen, I believe, on Yehuda Ben Yosef, gets to the inside line, gets through, forces Ben Yosef off, and it's going to be Cohen who has his day ending in tears, his season ending at that point as well, you would think. Straight into the wall.
Yeah, that's not really an incident you can recover from, even though, even taking, just ignoring the amount of time lost, just an impact like that into the concrete barriers surrounding this racetrack, that's not something you could really recover from. We might be able to get a chance at a replay here as the on-track action has cooled off a little bit. I say that we still have some very close battling up and down the field, but that was yet another incident involving Ben Yosef. It's just tough racing here for these drivers. They're not really leaving anything up for chance, especially in this last race of the season. So that could be the reason why we're seeing a lot more chaos, to be brutally honest. So we're going to get a replay to see what happens here. Aviv Cohen, yeah, it's just, I think Ben Yosef was kind of forcing the issue, telling Aviv Cohen, hey, look, I'm running out of road, man. Probably had another 50 feet of curb there, unless Ben Yosef decided to do some lawn mowing there as they went through the small little short chute between turn 5 and 6. But ignoring that now, we've got some nice tussling here between Zubrev and Gabay there. That was very close to contact as they came out of Canada corner. But still, a lot of drivers going side by side. Even though I said the action has cooled off a little bit, we still got multiple battles up and down this field, and this is definitely one of them.
Reem Gross is going to go down the inside. Oh, sorry, Daniel Lerman's going to go down the inside of Reem Gross to go down into turn 1. It's later braking for Daniel Lerman and gets himself through. As we get into the final 3 laps or so of the season, Alon Day is going to check out and hold the lead pretty comfortably. What is Gross able to do on the outside line? Not much. Still believe with a 4-point swing, by my reckoning, between him and Alan Day, that he'll get himself into position, stay in position to win the championship, but second place would be the preference for Reem Gross, who goes now back around the outside of Daniel Lerman and is able to get himself through as well by the looks of things. Now goes back to the inside line to try and defend. Daniel Lerman is on the outside line. Does he get the better of the braking performance? He doesn't. Reem Gross with a staunch defense.
I think I brought up that point a little earlier, how, oh no, there's carnage behind. That's Mara getting spun around there, I believe, by SF Yaron. So we might get a chance to see what happened there. We're going to get a replay of the incident there. Going through the fifth corner, Yovel Marek there, going down the inside of one of his fellow Mazdas. I believe it wasn't actually interclass mingling there. It was just, oh, that was... Oh, that's questionable there from Drew Last. I'm not sure if he spun up his tires a little bit there coming out of turn 5, but it looked like he just hung a left there and spun his fellow Mazda competitor. So definitely elbows out at this stage of the race.
Here's the replay. Drew Last on the outside line, and there you go. Here's just a chop across. And, well, Road America is turning into a... It's a good track for racing, isn't it, Ron? That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, it's definitely a great track for racing, as we're seeing tonight. Not the best racing circuit for a Demolition Derby, but hey, it's new to here on Apex Racing TV. Demolition Derby for the gravel there, as Lerman goes wide, coming through Canada Corner and loses that second spot to Reem Gross. That's I haven't seen too much gravel running. We've seen a lot of drivers go off into the gravel, but a lot of drivers going off into the grass, but not a lot of drivers going into the gravel. So unfortunately for Lerman, he's going to give the landscaping crew here on the virtual version of Road America something to think about. And as I say that, Drew Les gives, actually no, that's Tomer Ventura, my apologies. He gives the landscaping crew here on the virtual version of Road America something else to think about, as he makes a similar mistake coming through Canada Corner, and that's going to damage his race car, and that's probably going to take him out of the race tonight.
Looking at Tomer Ventura, who sits in... never mind, we're looking at Pied Yamakouv in the number 71, as he's having a bit of a lonely time at the moment. 3 kilometers behind everyone else in the track at the moment. First time I've actually seen the Forza Motorsport style of kilometers being the gap between people, I have to say, in iRacing. Back to this battle between Reem Gross and Daniel Lerman. Reem Gross is, well, going to have to get on a defensive a little bit here, because Daniel Lerman is looking very racy indeed, and will go to the inside line, brake as late as he can, and Reem Gross holds onto it. And with a massive, massive disclaimer, by my mathematics, the championship trophy as well.
Just good stuff here. It would be nice if we kind of had a bit more information to go off with the championship, but we'll use our math skills. Thankfully, you're the one doing the math here, Tom, because I'm not really the best math student in the world. Pretty much, I have 4 brain cells remaining in my head, and all of them ate grass as a kid. So right now we're seeing some off-track action. I believe there was some off-track action there. Hasid is actually dropping back a little bit, so a lot of drivers going off the circuit, a lot of drivers bringing out the chrome horn, just a lot of mistakes all up and down the field. So we've seen a lot of chaos in this race, and surprisingly, with the amount of carnage we've seen, only 2 cars are in the pits right now.
Arnon Levy is now on the outside. This is on, sorry, Arthur Elbert is on the outside of Arnon Levy. Will try and swoop his way through the double right-hander. I do say, here, Ron, I raced a 24-hour race here once, and that corner in particular was one that I always found quite interesting, swooping around the outside of GT3 cars on, as Arthur Elbert now goes to the outside of Canada Corner.
Yeah, it takes a lot of guts to go for a around the outside move at really any corner of this track with the way it is, and the little margin for error. Really coming through Canada Corner in real life, most of that runoff is now paved, but that's really the only area where they have asphalt runoff in this entire circuit. So it's a very good track for the racers. We're on the final lap now, as you can see the the flagman in the flag stand over the start-finish line, waving a white flag, and right now Gross. He's not waving the white flag to avoid second position. He won't give up yet, but right now we have Daniel Lerman trying to battle with him, and we've got some more battling here between Yossi Gabay, the 4th place runner in the Toyotas, and Mark Zubarev in the front runner of the Mazdas, with the chaos that we saw with Dror last, as well as the accident that we saw with Yovel Marek. I think Zubarev has really got this in the bag. He's probably not going to fight too hard if he's trying to get that 4th place position overall on Gabay, but switching away from that, we've got some more battling here between Lerman and Gross. Lerman's going to go down the inside of turn 5. It looks like it's a very deep there, I believe. Yes, Gross is going to try and get the switchback. He's going to have the inside line coming into turn 6. You bring it home, Tom.
As Daniel Lerman gets himself through and into second position for the time being. Reem Gross is fighting this hard, but I dare say he needn't, because I believe he has done enough to win the championship at this stage. But as I said, we're going to call him across the line and then give a heavy disclaimer that we need to wait for the official confirmation when they put all of the relevant numbers into the spreadsheet and things like that. Alon Day, 6.7 seconds down the road. What a performance it has been for him. It's been a performance worthy of a championship for Alon Day, even if it might not come his way at the end of this lap. Daniel Lerman, one more chance to hold off Reem Gross, and he's made a slight mistake. That's going to allow Gross to go down the inside to try and get a move into Canada corner to surely seal that championship and take himself to the top step of the championship podium. Breaks later, gets himself up the spot. However, Daniel Lerman tries to hold it around the outside, is still just about alongside. Reem Gross knows exactly where to put his car and stays just ahead. These two probably going to drag race the line like they did on the first lap. Alon Day looks like he went off the track slightly for a moment there as we go through turn 14, the final corner for the final time this season. Alon Day makes it 6 wins in 12 races. That's a fantastic drive from him across the line. Reem Gross and Daniel Lerman, they're not done just yet. It'll be a drag race as they go up to the line of the final race of this season. Looks like Reem Gross is going to get it, and with it, he should have wrapped up the championship. We'll wait to confirm what the officials have to say. It's side by side across the line. It's an 8,000th of a second finish between Yaron and Gabay. Oh, Zubarev finishes first in the MX5, last then Ben Yosef. And I have to say, that has been a fantastic night of racing that isn't done yet, Ron.
Yeah, we've got more chaos all throughout this field. We've got Mazuz trying to go for a last-man dive on Hasika. He looks to the outside, well, looks to the inside, then the outside going side by side. That was close. That was 0.03 of a second, but Hasika gets that 4th position overall for Mazuz.
Amir Heshed, he's going to cross the line himself to go into 7th position in the MX5s. And, well, I don't think there's much else to speak of. Marek has, I believe, won the MX5 championship. I think that was confirmed as we went into this round. There's only about 16 points available per round, so make it 32. He had basically won the championship already with how he had raced throughout the course of the season. But I have really enjoyed my first iRacing Israel League experience. Ron, I know this has been your 2nd season. Yeah, I've got a replay. This is the finish between Yaron and Gabay. Talk us through it.
You can see these drivers going side by side. Gabay had a little bit of a weave there, and I think he's just going to barely lose it out. They're being him banging coming to the line, but unfortunately for Yossi Gabay, he loses that spot right at the line to Nadav Yaron, who had a fantastic last lap recovery drive. I believe he started the lap about 0.5 behind him, so he pulled that gap quite nicely in the final stages of this season to get that last, get that 4th place position in the Toyota fight.
Just waiting for Marek to cross the line as I bring up the iRacing Israel League website and confirm if he has won the championship there as Marek crosses the line and completes it. We'll get your results for you in a moment's time, and then any potential interviews. We don't have too many talkative drivers here in the Israel League, so we'll give them a moment before we do that. So here we go. Alon Day wins the final race of this season. I make it his 6th win of the season. It's Reem Gross who's alongside him. Should have won the championship with that, though, of course, we're going to wait for the official word, which you can check on the iRacing Israel League website for all of that. Then it's Daniel Lerman, Nadav Yawad and Yossi Gabay, the top 5. Mark Zubarev draw last. Yehuda Ben Yosef, the podium in the MX5s. Arnan Levy and Arthur Elbert, the top 10.
And looking through the final 8 finishers of the final race of the final round of the iRacing Israel League season, we have Hesika Heskia. I keep mispronouncing his name. I don't know why. I got to rewire my brain a little bit before next season starts. He finishes in 11th, followed by Offer Mazuz in 12th, SF Yaron in 13th. Amir Hasid, who is my driver of the day, mainly because he just had that fantastic close call in Heat 1. He finishes 14th in Heat 2. Then we have Tomer Ventura in 15th, Yarmakov in 16th, Yovel Marek in 17th, and then Aviv Cohen, who had an incident very early, very late into this race, I believe like midway mark of this race. He finishes 3 laps down in 18th.
And, well, that does it for iRacing Israel League this season. Doesn't look like we've got anyone popping up for interviews. So, Ron, I'll ask you for your final thoughts.
Really, my thoughts are scattered after a race like that. It was chaotic all throughout the field, had a lot of accidents, but we also had a lot of close racing all throughout the field. It's something that you expect from the iRacing Israel League for these drivers to give it 110% and battle each other as hard as they can. So we've had some fantastic racing all throughout this season, and certainly the final round of the year didn't hurt our expectations. It definitely lived up to them quite nicely, and at a track which is fairly different than most of the tracks that we ran on this season, it still had that same good quality racing, and hopefully we continue going into next season.
Well, thank you all very much for watching. Thank you all very much for joining us in the iRacing Israel League this season. Look forward to doing it all again in Season 13. But for now, thank you for watching Apex Racing TV, and we'll see you all later. Good night.